Hey guys, Marissa at kitchentablestamper.com. It is time for another Coffee and a Card. Coffee and a Card is this Wednesday in my Rolling Meadows home studio. If you live in the Chicago area and you're an adult crafter, you're always welcome. Not local, no problem. You can see all the Coffee and a Card videos at kitchentablestamper.com, and you can order the supplies to make them at marisaalvarez.stampinup.net. All right, this is the card that we're going to make at Coffee and a Card on Wednesday. We're going to have a balmy blue and a blushing bride option, so we'll have pink or blue, and the card itself features the Fable Friends Clean Mount stamp set from the Stampin Up Occasions 2019 Occasions catalog. And the fun part about this card is you'll be able to make a pink baby card, a blue baby card, or you can switch out for Easter greetings or happy spring if you like. So this adorable little note card can be for almost any springtime purpose you want. All right, so let's get started. Besides Fable Friends, you'll need your wood planks embossing folder, the stitched labels framelits, got rectangle stitched framelits dies here. I've got my 1 1/4 inch circle punch, 1 3/8 inch scallop punch. I've got the Bitty Blooms punch pack here, got a flower and the flower center and leaf punch, 2 of the 4 that come in that punch pack. The other 2 flower shapes are this kind of fun daisy shape, and this one here with the little bit more soft scallopy edge. It's a little more, I don't know, it kind of goes like this. So the Bitty Blooms punch pack has this one that's kind of soft and round, this one that's a little bit more defined, and then this one that's very defined petals like a daisy, see? And then this does the flower center and the leaf punch. This is a great little punch pack. I use it all the time. When a card needs a little something to spruce it up, that's when I pull out my Bitty Blooms punch pack. I've got my leaf punch. This punch is really fun with the flowers from the Bitty Blooms punch pack too. As you can see on my sample here, you can nestle the flowers into those leaves and they look really good. All right, what else do we need for this project today? We need Memento Tuxedo Black ink, something non-reactive to use with your Stampin' Blends. Stampin' Blends are Balmy Blue Combo. I've got my light Flirty Flamingo. I've got Crumb Cake Combo, Ivory, and Dark Daffodil Delight. Got some linen thread and the paper consumables that you'll need for this card include, I'll give you some measurements on the project sheet. Project sheets are always available to download to your computer or print at kitchentablestamper.com. You can find the link directly to this project below the embedded video on the blog post. If you're watching on YouTube, the link to the blog post is in the description. All right, I've got a balmy blue card base. It's 8.5 by 5.5 and scored at 4 1/4. I have a piece of crumb cake. This is a scrap and you need one that's big enough just to cut your label. About 2.5 by 3.5 should do for you. I cut ahead of time the stitched rectangle that we're going to use on this project. So that's my stitched rectangle. Then I've got scraps for the flowers and the sentiment, Whisper White scraps. I've got a Blushing Bride scrap for punching that scallop circle, Daffodil Delight scraps for the flower centers. Got a piece of Balmy Blue gingham here. This is 1 inch by 5.5. And then I went ahead, because I had a bunch of these punched from another project that I didn't use. I punched my leaf punch out of soft seafoam, and now I'm just going to trim off the stems here. We don't need those stems. They're just going to cause us trouble when we try to arrange our flowers and leaves. but there's 3 of them. So you'll need about 2.5 by 6 inches to get those punched out. All right, let's start with a little bit of die cutting and embossing. I'm gonna bring in the Big Shots and we'll get started. My machine is already set up for die cutting, so let's go ahead and die cut our crumb cake stitched label. And I'm going to just really quickly run the die on the die brush here, because there were a couple of little bits left, and you will get a sharper cut from these details. It dies if you take those little bits out. You want a clean die every time you cut. So there's my little label. Let's crank this guy through and get it cut. Stampin' Up! Has announced that it won't be carrying the Big Shot or Sizzix products anymore. So if you haven't got your Big Shot, they're available while supplies last from Stampin' Up. I will have never regretted my Big Shot purchase, and I own 3 of them. So they're wonderful machines. And the die brush and foam mat that you see me using here to clean out that beautiful die, this is also a Sizzix product that won't be available just while supplies last now. You can see all those little bits are cleaned out and all the mess is contained in the foam mat. I can just tap this little foam mat off into the trash can and all those little bits don't end up all over my studio. I love this product and I'm gonna miss it so much. All right, let's change this up so that we can emboss our card base. I've pulled out the thin die adapter, got my planks, my wood planks here. I'm going to put my card base in so that my planks run in the short direction here across the front of the card. And I want to kind of pay attention to where the planks start and stop so that we get a nice even design. You also want to pay attention to that your cardstock is very squared up. You don't want your planks to run diagonal across the front of the card. All right, I am not unhappy with that at all. We're gonna add 1 cutting pad over the top here and just give it a crank. And there's our beautiful wood texture. Let's get the die cut machine out of the way. And creasing down that fold, get it flat again. Use your bone folder, but don't press too hard. You don't want to work out the embossing. Now let's color, shall we? I'm gonna get my Memento Tuxedo Black ink. Okay, I've got Darling Baby all blacked up here. We're gonna stamp that just kind of centered in a scrap. And then our buddy, little bunny dude here. We want to put him about 1/4 inch from that bottom stitch because we're gonna wrap a little bit of twine around our rectangle. We wanna leave some room for that so we look like bunnies standing on the ground, not hitting a tripwire. Know what I mean? Clear? Hold on, I'll lift this up and show you what I mean. Okay, so just about 1/4 inch from the bottom there. Give my ink just a moment to set before we start coloring. Let's punch out the 1 3/8 inch scallop and the 1 1/4 inch circle with the sentiment. We just want to center that one, top to bottom and right to left. Since we're punching, why don't we keep on going? We need 5 little flowers. So I'm going to start here with this dude and use every little bit. I love using up every little bit of scrap. So we've got 3 of our little flowers. Got another bitty piece here for 2 more. They just fly. All right. Then centers for the flowers. Let's get those 2 wayward flowers back in here. Then we need 5 little centers. There they are. I'm gonna go ahead with some multi-purpose liquid glue, and I'm gonna put a dot of glue in the center of each of these flowers. Just a little tip for staying tidy. All right, there's all of our little flowers ready to go. We'll set them and let them dry for a minute while we color our little cottontail here. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my light crumb cake and I'm gonna just really kind of quickly color in his belly because it's gonna be the light crumb cake, and I'm not gonna do much shading or anything in the center here. So I'm using little circular strokes and just filling in solid. Then I'm gonna color the rest of his lower body with the light crumb cake. I'm gonna just rest the marker in the cap. I don't close it up. I'm gonna draw a little shadow under the coat here. And then I'm gonna just streak down like fur. And then from the bottom up, I'll streak up like fur. And across the top of his feet, we'll put a little shadow. And then, oh, I didn't do this one. I want to streak down from below his little coat here. Then we'll take the light and just streak together the lighter and darker shades. The idea is not to blend it out to medium. You want to leave some of that streakiness. It looks a little bit like fur. For his little hands, I'm gonna fill in with the light crumb cake. And then I'm gonna take the darker one, bring a little shadow from under his chin, and then along his wrists there. And I'll just blend those together. And then for his face, we're gonna just avoid the eyes and fill in his face. I'm going to do some very simple shading here and kind of little feather strokes, just little streaks along the extreme edge of his cheeks, right down where the artist put some little lines in at the forehead for us, and then coming in under the eyes a little bit where the artist put some lines. Then his ears, we'll go with the light crumb cake all around the edges, and then we'll do some dark crumb cake. Just along the right edge, and then where the artist left some lines for us at the beginning of the ear. And then we'll swipe with little flick strokes to bring those two together. So it's really simple. The idea is to not blend out those lines. You want to see those. It makes him look like he's a little fuzzy. For his ears, I'm using the light flirty flamingo and the ivory. So I'm going to start with the light flirty flamingo and color in the base. Then I'll take the ivory and color down from the top and blend the two different tones together. And then I feel like I lift a little bit out, so I'm back to the crumb cake there on the edge. His sweater is some simple two-tone blending. We're going to color in with the light balmy blue. Avoid the buttons. You're trying to lay down a nice base of ink here. You want to get your cardstock soaked. Then you'll come in and draw a little shadow where his head over his shoulders would be, a little shadow where his arms would be over his coat. And then a little shadow up here underneath his hands. You can follow the creases here that the artist drew in. And then all you need to do is go over those little shadows with your light shade again, just to soften them up. And then a little dab of the Dark Daffodil Delight for the buttons. What a cutie. All right, let's get this card assembled, shall we? We're nearly done. All right, I want to take my designer series paper and my label. What we're gonna do here is start fitting everything together. So with snail adhesive on the top 3/4 of bunny, we're going to center the stitched rectangle on the stitched label. Then we're going to add some snail along the edges of our designer series paper. You've got your adhesive on your designer series paper. Let's go ahead and apply that to the bottom edge of the card, but you don't want to burnish it down hard across the top edge at this point because we're going to add in the little leaves and we want to be able to tuck them behind if need be. Got a little bit of adhesive along the back side of our bunny here and some linen thread. We're going to go ahead and wrap the linen thread around the bottom edge of the bunny here, kind of creating a little ground for bunny to stand on. And a little bit of snail adhesive underneath there is going to hold that in place for us while we tie. And you want the bow off to the left side just a little bit, left of center. Hold the center of the knot and pull the tails and get some finesse. When you got a bow that you like, you can lift up, slide it into place, trim off the excess. I'm going to put a little multi-purpose liquid glue, just a dab at the stem. I want to be able to add a little bit of foam adhesive behind these guys where need be. So I'm just adding adhesive at the very base. So we're going to do that again here. And we want to tuck the ends of these leaves underneath so that those blunt edges don't show. Now this one here is going to cover the blunt edge of this first one that we laid down. So I'm going to make sure that it's in far enough and then add a little bit of liquid glue at the stem here. Now the little base of this one is going to slide right up underneath the second leaf here. Now we're going to need more adhesive behind bunny. Now that we like our placement, we can glue that all down. I'm going to add a small piece of dimensional adhesive to the back of each of these flowers and a few pieces to the back of my sentiment. All right, everybody's got their dimensional adhesive and I've peeled the release off. Let's go ahead and embellish with our little flowers. I like to do 2 on one side and 3 on the other and go for a little kind of up, down pattern, like a zigzag. And then let's go ahead while we've got it and center our darling baby greeting on the scallops. I'm going to take a little bit more dimensional adhesive here now, and I'm going to add a little bit behind a few of these leaves, which will give them a little bit more security, but will also add a little texture to the card. I'm doing one of the leaves on each of the 3 little leaf punches. Next up, snail adhesive for our greeting, and we're nearly done. We'll add darling baby off to the side, kind of nuzzled in with the leaves. And there it is. There's our cute little baby card for Coffee and a Card. This card would look equally as adorable with the Easter greetings or Happy Spring. And they all will fit just fine, I think, in this same design. So it's a really versatile, cute little set, not just for Easter, that's for sure. All right, if you guys have any questions about the project, about stamping with me in my Chicago area home, I'm in Rolling Meadows. I have a studio in my home and run regular classes. If there's anything I can do to help you stay crafty, email marissa@kitchentablestamper.com. And if you'd like to purchase the supplies that I used today, buzz over to marisaalvarez.stampinup.net. Thanks for watching.